American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all away.
Welcome.
No, stop it.
Welcome
to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
And we are History for Jerks. I bring the history, and Amy's the jerk.
No, that's not.
Come on, you're kind of a jerk. No, happy Mother's Day.
I'll be a jerk.
You can be.
I'll be a jerk.
You're allowed to. It's Mother's Day. It's the day after Mother's Day.
It's the Mother's Week.
This.
I like to call it Mother's Week.
It's Mother's Week, y'all.
Mother's Week.
Last week Mother's Week, or it started Sunday, so it's this week?
Yeah, this is Mother's Week.
It's Mother's Week, and we have a mother on the as a guest this week.
That's right, we
do.
do.
I'm gonna bring out our guest right now. Even though we do have an apology to make, we'll just let her be there for the apology so we can apologize directly to her. We have a great mother today, a lifelong fan of the performing arts. Jenny Kabool spent time on stage as a storyteller, improviser, and actor. She has over a decade of experience. That's aging her a little bit. Behind the stage as an arts administrator in general management and community programming, and has recently started working off stage as a production coordinator and freelance project manager by launching Kabool Creative. That's right, Kabool Creative. She's an active creative partner for Blumenthal Performing Arts' Nerdy Night. I got to close my email or else I'm going to get emails all night. Everybody's going to hear them. Sorry. She is an active creative partner for Blumenthal Performing Arts' Nerdy Night series and has helped produce 2 shows in the Women's History series, Ladies Who Rock. Follow her on Instagram at Kabool Creative. That's with a K, K-A-B-O-O-L, Creative, ! Or is that just for the bio? We'll ask her. Jenny, please welcome Jenny Kabool. Welcome, Jenny.
What's up?
Welcome.
Up? Yes, always exclamation points, but yes, that was just for the bio. You need to have a little sparkle.
There is no exclamation point in your Instagram handle, right?
No,
okay.
Not at this point.
Now there is.
Yeah.
Now there should be.
Gonna go at it.
Well, Jenny is a good partner of mine. I produce these Nerdy Night shows she's talking about, so it's really cool to plug it. I don't know that we've plugged it very much on this show, which I probably should.
How dare you?
I'm terrible.
I'm
terrible at that. Plugging my own
terrible
thing. Like I'm terrible.
Oh. Yes.
But yeah, Nerdy Night and the last Nerdy Night show we had the Nerd School podcast as judges.
Yes.
They're on the History for Jerks network, I guess, if that's a thing, and the Queen City Podcast Network. But yeah, Jenny is awesome at creating, especially this women's history thing is really the kind of the crux of the Nerdy Night thing. It's like a cool, awesome show. It's very entertaining. The way they tell these stories, the way you tell these stories, Jenny, and teach others to do it is great. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
We like to do it. And,
yes.
We want to do a couple more this year, and
yes,
it's a fun time.
And it's the format of that is kind of a perfect match for American Timeline. So
right.
we were working on a show, and I asked Jenny to please come on American Timelines because she'd be perfect for it. And I think she should start a history podcast herself. And so maybe I can convince her to after she gets the podcast bug today.
That's right.
I pitched a podcast idea to my husband earlier tonight.
He
is sort of on board.
Oh, really? What was it?
Well,
you don't want to tell?
You want to tell, or is it a secret?
No, I don't know if it'll actually happen, but we're our own brand of nerds. We are high fantasy nerds. Oh. So I want to do a high fantasy book club podcast, like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Dune.
Oh, I love Game of Thrones.
So Dungeons and Dragons type stuff?
Our cul-de-sac is actually starting a Dungeons and Dragon team. So.
Oh my gosh!
Wait a minute.
You're like living in the movie Stranger Things.
So you're starting a campaign? Like you're actually going to play D&D?
Yeah. We're going to establish our characters and drink lots of alcoholic beverages and.
Oh, that's great.
Now, are the people in your cul-de-sac? Are they nerd? Oh, they must be nerdy too if they're up for this. Or are you convincing them to do this?
Oh no, we're all big old nerds.
So you happen to have a cul-de-sac filled with people that have kids your same age, and also they're nerds.
Yeah, it's really serendipitous how it all worked out. That we're all, we all like each other. We all want to spend time with each other.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. Wow. Anyway, so so super fantasy nerds. Okay. That's a whole nerd in itself. And that's why I'm finding there's so many niches within the
Nerd niches.
Nerd community. Nerd niches, yeah. So
It's hard to say.
yeah, there's history nerds, and there's like those Civil War reenacting nerds.
Yep.
And there's like incels.
Yeah.
Neckbeard.
Neckbearded
beards.
incels. Yeah.
Good Lord.
But this
Now, wait a minute. Are those different things?
I think they can be both. You can be a
What's
neckbeard and
what's
an
a
incel.
neck beard like?
So
Under your
I
skin,
would.
right?
Yeah, I would define a neckbeard as probably a white gentleman who is a little heavy and who likes nerd culture, probably more so anime and manga more than anything. But they don't keep up with hygiene, so they get a little scruff.
I know several people that you're
Stop looking at me. I didn't realize when you said neckbeard you were talking about that was what you're calling the nerd. It wasn't like a nerd with a neckbeard. You're saying they're called neckbeards, right?
Oh yeah, it is a thing.
Wow.
Mostly you'll find it on Reddit.
I love Reddit. I want to get
Yeah.
I want to get more into Reddit.
Isn't Reddit just like news groups? What the internet used to be? Just a bunch of news groups.
And now you can find people who will talk about anything.
That's what news groups were.
I don't even know what news groups are.
Oh, yeah.
I know. You're dating yourself.
Yeah, you're a little bit younger than me, Jenny. I know I look young, but I'm
with
70.
that ponytail.
I invented the internet. No, but back in my day.
Okay, Al Gore.
Yeah.
I was in college when they invented it, though, and all it was news groups. It was like all the internet was a text, and it was like alt.Beastie Boys, alt.car racing, alt.Minnesota Vikings, or whatever. And you just got on there and talked to other people.
So we just heard your top 3 searches in
What
high
did I
school.
say? What were they?
Beastie Boys, Minnesota Vikings, and car racing.
Car racing was just an example. I don't care about car racing. But Beastie Boys and Vikings were the ones. But actually, I almost got kicked out of... Do we have time for a quick story before we go into this? I almost got kicked out of university because I threatened somebody on the Enya news group.
Enya?
Enya. Yeah, I got in the Enya news group. Because I didn't...
Jeez.
I'm fresh out of high school. I was a freshman in college. And the internet was new to us. We didn't have the internet. Like, it didn't exist. Okay, I didn't have money, so we didn't have a computer. So to me, it was like I was big into prank calling people. Call waiting didn't exist yet, so I thought you could just go online.
Call waiting existed.
Maybe it did, but you could just go. I thought you could just go online and like internet bash people, and they would never trace me. So I got on at the internet at the community center or at the computer lab in college, and I was like, "Enya sucks. My girlfriend listens to Enya, and she's weird." And then all the Enya fans were like, "You're a terrible person. She's a nice person. You shouldn't make fun of your girlfriend," who didn't really exist. I was just like trying to piss them off. And then the one guy was like, "Hey man, I know where you live. I'll kill you," or something like that. And like
he was a neckbeard for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was. No, he was an Enya fan, so I don't think he was. He's probably a nice guy, probably a nice little fellow. Anyway, he reported it, and they found the ISP and traced it back because you had to sign in the computer lab, but then somehow they knew who was on that computer because I checked my email or something.
It's
I got
forensics.
Yeah, forensics back in
forensics
1994.
of the 90s.
And I got called into the university president's office, and I made up some story about how, I was just doing a paper on for sociology on like how people respond to threats. I was like totally making up.
Did they? And they let you slide.
Social experiment, guys. I promise.
Yeah, they let me slide because the internet was new to them too.
Yeah, they probably didn't know what the hell the repercussions would be.
So anyway, I don't know how we got talking about this, but anyway, Jenny, are you ready to jump in? Oh, before we jump into the timeline, Jenny, I want to tell you we have a thing on our podcast. We used to do way more before we started researching stuff. When we started this 3 years ago, we just said what we kind of thought was true, and then we realized after a while...
We still kind of think
Kinda.
that somewhat.
But we realized after a while, the beginning of every episode would be just apologies on everything we got wrong on the previous one, and that'd be the first whole half would be apologies. So, but we had Amy's mom who lied about something.
She did not lie. She just had a dream or something.
She was incorrect. So she hinted that Tom Felton is dead. The guy who played
Harry Potter.
Yeah, he played Draco Malfoy.
Yeah, she didn't hint. She said
no, he's dead.
She said that the blonde one from Harry Potter died.
First she said it was the guy who played Joffrey.
Baratheon, yeah.
Yeah, who is from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because
we were like, he died?
talked
And she was
about
like,
him.
yes, he died. And then she said, no, wait, it was the blonde from Harry Potter. Yeah, he died.
And she said
and she
Draco
was
Malfoy,
real,
yeah.
and it was funny because she was just so insistent.
She was adamant about it. So I looked it up, and she's recently. So I'm not sure what she was talking about, but Tom Felton is not dead. Never fear, everyone. Don't go to his funeral.
Well, his the woman who played his mother recently passed away, so maybe that's how she got confused.
Oh, maybe it was that. Maybe it's that because but I looked up who else died. There's like a million of them that died. You know, we lost the guy from Die Hard, the bad guy Hans Gruber.
Well,
Alan Rickman.
But
that's
yeah,
probably
Alan
what
Rickman.
it is.
But Dave Legeno died in 2014. He played a werewolf named Finner Greyback. Like he died. He was a younger guy.
That's
he died
Harry
unexpectedly.
Potter
But that was
character.
2014. That's still not recently. That's 7 years ago.
That's what she's
It
thinking.
was
of.
Helen McCrory. Helen McCrory, who played Narcissa Malfoy, passed away recently.
So maybe your mom saw the headline, saw
Oh.
Malfoy,
Yeah.
and assumed it was him and didn't pay attention. So maybe it was that. So maybe we'll have
Yep.
her back to, right her wrongs and
Oh,
explain what
stop.
she was thinking.
She's my mom.
She's your mom. No, it's okay.
I love that she does stuff like that.
Well, we made her. I made her apologize
You did.
because of Brooke Shields.
Yep,
Because
you
Brooke
did.
Shields was naked in a movie when she was 12, and I was appalled. So I made her mom apologize for everyone who was alive then, and she did.
Yeah, she did.
And then so I also have a review of our podcast because I promised people if you leave us a review on Apple, it's not iTunes anymore now, it's Apple Podcasts, we will read your review on air so you can become famous.
Oh.
So, and I don't remember, I actually put 3 on here because I don't remember if I did the other 2, but I won't read them all. I'll just read the most recent one. On April 17th, 2021, a user named J11704 wrote his podcast review was called Good Stuff. This podcast is good considering Joe is a larky.
Yeah.
And that's all he said. Now that's a friend of mine who grew up. Our town is real skinny like Tennessee, and it's divided by railroad tracks. There's the rich side and the poor side. He's from the rich side. I'm from the poor side. The poor side is called the Lark side because our elementary school is called the Lark Elementary School. So
Wow.
we were called Lark Dirtballs, and so he's called me a Larky. So he's trying to hurt my feelings, and I'm just reading this now because he's only listening to our podcast to hear his own review being read. So now he can listen to it, and you can stop listening, Jeff, you idiot.
Oh, that was Jeff. I thought it was
Jeff Barton.
I
yeah.
thought it was going to be Jim.
Nope, Farton Barton. Jim is this other one, William Regal Bixby.
All right, let's move on.
That's a real long one. We'll read that another time. But anyway, because he doesn't listen at all. He just left a message. So with that, we're ready to jump into February of 1952. Are you ready, Jenny?
Yes, so ready.
All right. So you can add anything you want at any time, Jenny. If you are confused and say, hey, hold up, what? Say that again, motherfucker.
Who dat?
Yeah.
Or if you are appalled by something, or if you think I said something racialist or sexist.
Or ageist or ableist
or if I just pronounce something wrong, or if you just have a witty retort, feel free to add it.
Let's get into it.
Okay, we're getting
Got
into it. So we're going to start on Saturday, February 2nd, with when B.B. King's 3 O'Clock Blues hit number 1 on the U.S. Billboard's R&B hit parade to become his first national hit. It's B.B. King's first hit, 1952.
Okay. I'm not familiar with this song.
It's good.
Is it?
I can't really sing. It's real slow, bluesy.
Mm-hmm.
But I started playing it while I was doing my research, and I was sitting out on the deck listening to it. It was nice. And then I just listened to a whole bunch of slow blues. I really like blues.
Yeah, I do too.
So it's good.
I've actually seen B.B. King in concert.
Ooh.
One of the last tours he did.
Did you see the last one? The last one was bad.
No.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yeah, I've seen him. I've gone to everyone because he used to come to our theater like every other year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to one of them in Charlotte?
Yeah, it was at the night theater, and I just remember him sitting down the whole time.
Yes.
Looking like a boss on stage, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could tell he was getting on up there in years.
I wonder. I bet you came to the one that Patrick Ewing showed up. Do you remember seeing? You know who Patrick Ewing is? Basketball player?
Yeah. And I would have remembered that, so probably not.
So he might have been seated either before or after you, but Patrick Ewing walks up. You know, he's like 7 feet tall, basketball player. He was an assistant coach for the Bobcats.
Was he the one that was at Henry's birthday party?
Yeah, he was at my son's or my daughter. He was at Audrey's birthday party.
Audrey's birthday party.
That was the same week.
I
talked to him twice that week. So he shows up and he's like, "Hey, do you have any aisle seats?" And he's like leaning over there like, "Sir, I'm sorry, it's sold out. What's wrong with your seat?" And then he stands up fully and it's like leg room. and Michael, who worked for us at the time in ticketing, didn't realize who he was. I was like, "That's Patrick Ewing. Is nobody going to help Patrick Ewing?" So I went up to him and I was like, "Mr. Ewing, I can help you." He's like, "Yeah, I can't fit in row S in the middle, you know."
Yeah.
And so I said, "I'm going to go talk to BB King, let him know you're here and see what we can do." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, Patrick Ewing, bring him backstage." Well, so we got him seats on the stage, and it was really nice. Like, I got to walk with Patrick Ewing. It was like 9 feet tall.
Wow.
That was on a Sunday night, and Tuesday night we were having a birthday party for my daughter.
And Patrick Ewing was there.
And Patrick Ewing was there. Like, it was at Sports Connection, and, like, all the parents have to sit out here while the kids are in the fun playing. I was just sitting right next to Patrick Ewing. I was like, "Patrick Ewing, we got to stop meeting like this, man." Like, what's going on?
Was he just hanging out there? Or?
His I think granddaughter was having a birthday party too. So there was like all these little children around. So,
well, you know, Patrick Ewing also starred in Space Jam, which is an awesome movie.
Yes, he did. And speaking of Space Jam,
it's your chance. Do your dance. Space Jam.
No,
come on.
Speaking of Space Jam, BB King, his career was launched into space with this hit record.
Oh my God!
Which was actually not he wasn't the first recording. It was recorded by Lowell Fulson in 1946. But BB King recorded in 1951 and became his first hit as well as one of the best-selling R&B singles of 1952. 3 O'Clock Blues effectively launched King's career and remained a part of his concert repertoire throughout his life. So you probably heard that song, Jenny.
Probably.
The sad thing is he's at the end, his last concert, he played in Charlotte like right before he died. It was really sad because he played "You Are My Sunshine" for about 45 minutes.
Oh, geez.
Because he just kept playing like one note and talking through it, and he was like rambling. At first, it's kind of charming, but then it just goes on. A lot of complaints. A lot of people want their money back.
Oh.
But I looked into it. It turns out he was supporting like 40 people, like his kids and his nieces and nephews and grandkids. Like everybody just made money off of him. So he had to keep touring, I think. Also, there's one other thing on Saturday, February 2nd, that I have to do.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
Amy hates birthdays. That's right. We have another birthday.
All right. What do you got?
We have, see if you can guess, Jenny or Amy. See if you can guess who this is. Don't look.
I'm not looking.
Born February 2nd, 1952. He's 69 years old. A computer scientist, one of the inventors of public key cryptography, the inventor of cryptographic hashing, and more recently, a researcher and speaker on cryonics.
What?
You know
Bill
who it is?
Gates.
Nope. Ralph C. Merkle.
Oh,
Ralph
C. Merkle.
This is why I
Ralph
hate
C. Merkle's
birthdays.
birthday.
It's the birthdays that he chooses to cover.
Well, this month I couldn't find any birthdays, and I wanted to play the song.
I see.
Oh, you guys, I have a very excellent birthday to share in February.
Do you?
1952.
Oh.
My birthday.
Oh, what day in
Oh.
February were you born?
February 7th.
Oh,
Nice.
February 7th. And I don't have anything for that day, so you'll have to just squeeze it in when we get to it.
Yeah.
And just say however many years before your birthday, so everybody will know how old you are.
All right.
Okay,
Will do.
we'll jump to Monday, February 4th, when we had the first, and I hate that, you don't look up there.
I'm not. I'm trying not
This
to.
I won't make you guess this, but we have the first African-American executive of a major TV station in 1952. And the TV station was WNBC New York. According to a Bleacher Report, during his playing days, he was hired as the director of community activities for a radio station, WNBC, and the television. That's the radio station, I guess, and the television station WNBT. Thus, Jackie Robinson became the first African-American executive of a major radio and television station, and he was quoted to say, "It also gives us a chance to combat communist propaganda by showing there are plenty of opportunities for Negroes in this country." Robinson once said this about his new position.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't find a lot about that, but he was still playing baseball at that time. He played in the World Series that year.
I was going to ask if that was the same guy.
The same Jackie Robinson. I didn't know he was the first major executive of a TV and news.
Yeah, I mean,
radio
I guess
news.
he was already famous, so it wasn't a big leap.
Yeah, and so,
He had a leg up. He had a little more privilege than somebody who didn't have the fame.
well, and it makes you wonder. I couldn't find a lot about this. Like, did the TV station, I don't know if they would do this in 1952, but did they do it more for show?
Probably.
But I'm thinking in 1952, I don't know if anybody did that for show then. Like,
That's
I don't know
true.
I don't know if was there a public to please with that? So I tried to search more details on what he did or anything, but I couldn't find a whole lot. So, but there was that. I mean, it's a milestone regardless.
Yes.
And again, without him doing it,
Right.
it probably would have taken longer for the next person. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and apparently he hated the commies. So he's
Right.
going
yeah.
too.
I think you had to in the 50s. I think everybody had to.
Well,
or
I
else
think
you'd
the
get arrested.
communists were also using. There was communist propaganda trying to tell black people that this country hates you, come to our country, kind of thing. I think,
Which
is where it comes from.
it wasn't lying.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a communist,
No.
or am I? No, I'm not. I don't think I am.
No. Communism doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. But there's a lot of their, in the 50s, a lot of what they're arguing with.
Right. Is what we're
A
talking
lot
about
of what
now.
I would say would be on the communist side now. But we're in a different world now. It's a whole different time. But
Yeah.
so before our fans who just follow us because we have American in our name.
Oh my
that don't,
God, it's hysterical.
Start turning on us and want to kill us. So we'll just leave that alone. And so on Wednesday, February 6th, I don't know if you guys know, February 6th, 1952, is when Queen Elizabeth II, the current Queen of England,
Yes.
succeeded King George VI to the British throne and proclaimed Queen of the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
Oh wow.
I was kind of blown away when I was doing this research because actually I was mainly blown away because I didn't realize she was still queen. I really swear she died sometime in the 90s. Like,
No, she is hella old.
Yeah.
She's real old.
is she really alive, or is this like a CGI by now? Like,
It's a hologram?
it's a hologram. She's got to be 150. I mean,
she's,
1952,
I
she
know.
became queen.
She's old. She
That's
is
crazy.
old.
I mean, you're
And didn't she have one of the first televised coronation ceremonies?
Probably. That sounds
I
right.
don't know. I didn't look up anything. I really, the Royals is one thing I couldn't care fucking less about. Like, I've never, ever given a shit. I try just for this. I try to give a shit, and I don't. I can't fathom why anybody does. Especially Americans. Like, I can't.
And some Americans, they love that shit.
They go wild for it. Even normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally one. I've watched all The Crown.
Look at
Sorry,
Joe
you're one of them.
slamming you.
Yeah, I'm slamming you. You're one of them. But I was gonna say, like, people. I was just about to say, people I respect that are smart people. Otherwise,
Well, it is kind of fascinating because Elizabeth, she was, or she is,
Yeah.
a major female power
Yes.
in the world. So it's just interesting to watch her reign as queen and what she's done and what
But-
she hasn't done
Right.
for women.
Isn't
Yeah.
it just like a fake power though? Like, it's just a figurehead, right?
That's
It's-
what all power is.
It's not real power. Like, she can't go make laws or anything or change the laws, right?
She has a lot of influence.
She does?
So she may not directly rule, but they definitely take her opinion into lots of matters.
So that's what I don't get. Like, and I guess I should do the research about when they changed from actually ruling to now there's a parliament and all this. I mean, I guess there always was a parliament, but maybe we'll ask our Scottish friends to give us that history. Or you probably know it, Jenny. Do you know exactly when it switched?
No, I don't.
Off the top of your head.
That was kind of on the spot
Well,
type.
I mean,
like,
how
who
big
in the
of
fuck would know that?
Well, she's a
Our
big
Scottish
royal.
guys aren't even going to know that.
Well,
shit.
I thought if you're a big royal fan, maybe that's how far you're into it. Like it is.
No, Americans who are royal fans are probably more interested in the gossip and the tea.
Yes.
Not the British tea, but
Yes.
But the
the dirty details of the bedroom,
That's
like
my daughter
who's having an
says.
affair with who.
the blind items.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
So they're all inbred, right? They're all inbred as hell, so they got to be weird. And then
Well, that's from Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
that's a
if you
different
really
one.
wanna-
See,
if
I
you
really
really
don't-
want to dig into it, Queen Victoria was a couple generations before Elizabeth. She had a hell of a bunch of kids, married them off to any royal she could find in Europe. They all had kids, and then they started intermarrying.
Ugh.
Yipe.
Well, and I guess it is the only thing I can imagine must be a thing for people that like this is that it's kind of so historical. It's like it's kind of history. It's like a fascination of somebody who directly descended from these famous. But still, I just don't get why anybody would care. Like when everybody gets up at 4 a.m. to watch the wedding or 3 a.m, whatever. I don't get it. Like that's the farthest I will ever be from you understanding you as a human.
It's just not your thing, and
It's
that's
not my
cool.
thing, but I don't know why it would be. Like that's my thing. Like I don't. And it's like
It's
NASCAR.
okay if people are different from
That's
you,
true.
Joe.
But that's how I am about NASCAR. I don't get NASCAR. My stepdad would watch NASCAR over and like they're just going in a circle. What are you watching? Why is this fun? So it's just not. That's also not my thing.
All right.
All right. February 8th was a Friday in 1952, and I just added this because I had this sudden epiphany that I wanted to look up, and maybe this is what you did, Jenny, but I wanted to look up because I'm really fascinated in the way writing was and newspapers were presented in the 50s. Like we've presented a couple like newsreels, and it's all like they put dramatic music behind them. Like it's like like when it's like they sell it like it's a movie, and it's like it's the news. What are you doing? But I looked up just to see if I could find any articles from February of 1952. Just like what light news did we have? It's just local news. And we have most of our listeners are in Ohio. Did you know that? I was looking by state by state. North Carolina is second because that's where we're from. But I'm from Ohio and we spend a lot of time in Ohio, so we do have a lot of Ohio listeners. So I stumbled upon a Bowling Green State University article from a Bowling Green News, the campus newspaper from February 8th of 1952, and this is just a lighthearted news thing that I wanted to read to you. It's kind of dated. But you know how they do like the funny news, the zany news type of things? This was in the newspaper. The headline was, "Disappearing Nylon Causes Sensation, Poodle Cut Defined." And I'm going to read this article really quick from the Bowling Green State University paper. Complaints by Bowling Green students about the city's leading industry, namely the tomato plant, are nothing compared to the trouble caused by one University of Virginia co-ed by a manufacturing plant in Jacksonville. You see, a gas given off by this plant was able to dissolve nylon, it seems. This was particularly troublesome to working girls who suddenly noticed their stockings peeling off their legs.
Oh, my God.
Suddenly, one co-ed who had begun to wonder why male eyes were getting so large and she was feeling so cold stopped and screamed. She had worn a nylon dress that day.
Oh, man. Gee.
But anyway, I thought that might be a fun thing we'll maybe do here and there.
All right.
And then on Thursday, February 14th, we're creeping up to you guys. The 1952 Winter Olympics began.
Oh.
And this was known as the 6th Olympic Winter Games. Only the 6th. Yeah, so we're getting, like, I was fascinated by that. I was like, oh, they only were that old. So the thing about 4 years and 4 years, they didn't do the Winter
But I thought they
Olympics.
did the Olympics
This
since,
is
like,
winter.
the Greek
Winter.
times.
Winter.
The Summer Olympics. They've done the Summer Olympics
Oh.
This is winter.
since ancient
Okay.
Greece.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
it.
nobody likes the Winter Olympics.
I know.
Summer's so much better.
You know, now that we're speaking of things I don't get why people love so much,
The Olympics.
this to me is right up there with, like, I know friends that will drop everything during Olympics. Winter, summer, forget about it. Did you watch the Olympics last night? Oh, I watched the Olympics tonight. Oh, the Olympics. Like, there's Olympic nuts that
Yeah.
you don't hear from them on sports any other time, but they're into every Olympic thing. You know, again, staying up, because this was in Oslo, so people probably wanted to stay up. So this was held from February 14th all the way to the 25th. I'm just going to give you some highlights. Discussions about Oslo hosting the Winter Olympics began as early as 1935. The city was keen to host the 1948 Winter Olympics, but that was made impossible by World War II. Instead, Oslo won the right to host the 1952 games in a contest that included Cortina d'Ampezzo in Italy and Lake Placid in the U.S., but they ended up winning out. All of the venues were in Oslo's metropolitan area except for the alpine skiing events, which were held at Norfjell. How do you say the J in Norwegian?
I don't know.
Mjorn?
No idea.
Norfjell, which was 70 miles from the capital. A new hotel was built just for the press and dignitaries, along with 3 dormitories to house athletes and coaches, creating the first modern athletes' village that they've ever had. Oslo bore the financial burden of hosting the games in return for the revenue they generated. These games attracted 694 athletes representing 30 countries who participated in 4 sports and 22 events. Only 4 sports. I wonder how many. I should have looked up how many they do now. Anyway, Japan and Germany made their returns to Winter Olympic competition after being forced to miss the 48 games because of World War II.
Because they were the bad guys.
They were the bad guys. So
Right.
That's another thing that fascinates me is, like, we play with you all the time in the Olympics every 4 years, and now you are our enemy and
Right.
you're out. Like, it's such a weird thing. Rules of war and all that, just, it all boggles my mind. Germany was represented only by West German athletes after East Germany declined to compete as a unified team. Portugal and New Zealand made their Winter Olympics debuts, and women were allowed to compete in cross-country skiing for the first time.
Woohoo!
1952, that glass ceiling is shattered.
Yes.
Women.
They finally had a maxi pad that would stay put, gals.
Watch out for your nylons, ladies.
That's right.
They will disappear.
Grab your garters, girls. Let's go.
A couple other highlights of the Winter Olympics. Norwegian truck driver Hjalmar Andersen won 3 out of 4 speed skating events to become the most decorated athlete of the 1952 Winter Olympics. Hjalmar was nicknamed King Glad for his famous cheerful mood. He was one of Norway's most popular sportsmen ever. 4 statues of him were raised during his lifetime, and he died an old man later than, I think, the 90s. Germany resumed its former prominence now that they're back in bobsleigh with wins in the 4- and 2-man events. And our favorite aim, Dick Button of the United States, performed the first triple jump in international competition to claim his 2nd consecutive men's figure skating Olympic title. Dick Button, Jenny, are you a fan of Dick Button?
I am not sure who Dick Button is.
He is an American Olympic skater that it seems like the 50s were his year. He's winning everything.
Yeah.
Dick
Button.
What a great name. Dick Button.
It's not a good name.
Button Dick.
In fact.
It was Button Dick, and then he switched it around.
Because
that's
that,
not true.
Yeah. Really embarrassing.
The popular Nordic sport bandy featured as a demonstration sport, but only 3 Nordic countries competed in the tournament. Do you know what bandy is, either one of you?
This is fascinating.
You don't care about sports. You hate
No.
sports. Bandy is like
You
ice
just
hockey.
got done saying how you couldn't care less about the Olympics, and now
I
you're
don't.
going on and on and on about them. You realize that?
Well,
Burn, Amy,
this
burn.
I don't do this podcast for me. I do it for the time heads.
Oh, okay.
They
All
want to
right.
know about bandy. Bandy was like ice hockey, but they use a ball instead of a puck. Boom, bandy.
So was ice hockey a sport in the Olympics at this time?
Did not look
Do
that
not-
up.
Do not
Because that's
ask
like one
questions.
of the more famous Winter Olympic sports. You would think
Well,
that would.
What did I say? There
That
was
would be
only
like the headliner.
4 sports.
4 you said.
I would have to Google that. What were the 4 sports? Well, we know. Well, bandy was just a demonstration. We know bobsleigh. We know ice skating.
Figure skating. Or is that the same thing?
I think that's the same. Cross-country skiing, we said for the first time.
Yep.
I would say ice hockey's got to be the other one. If they're showing bandy, they got to have ice hockey.
Or maybe they were trying to introduce ice hockey at that time.
That could be. Too bad there's no way to know.
I could just Google it real quick. But I'm not gonna.
No.
I can Google it while you guys are blabbing on about your stories if you want. But
No.
this brings us to Amy
Oh, it does.
on February 15th. Amy, you have something I understand that happened the same day that the Schlitz Playhouse of Stars was on TV.
Ooh.
Nice.
Schlitz, presented by Schlitz.
Okay.
And they were called Joseph Schlitz Beer Company at that time, I think.
Yeah, Schlitz beer was actually my great-grandfather's beer of choice.
Really?
Nice.
Your great-grandfather loved Schlitz?
Uh-huh.
Did he ever drink Schlitz Dark?
I have no idea. I never met him. But, yeah, he was a cool old German man. So
Oh, that's cool.
Schlitz is such a 70s beer.
Schlitz. I have Schlitz darts flights for my darts that I don't know where they are.
All right, that's great. All right.
Oh, you don't care.
I'm going to tell you the story of the nightmare on Holton Street.
Okay, before we get into this, Jenny, are you scared of murders?
I'm real scared of murders.
Okay, are you okay with endless rape talk? Because that's probably what this will be. Just rape city. We're about to take a direct line to rape city.
I'll have
Yeah.
you know I don't believe any rape in this.
This could be a rape-free episode?
Might.
Oh.
I can't remember.
I'm sure Jenny's story is going to have rape in it, so she might fill in for that. So
Yes.
okay.
I got
this is a little preview.
My source is MilwaukeeNotebook.com, an article by Carl Swanson.
MilwaukeeNotebook.com.
Yes.
Carl Swanson. I just repeat that to give myself time to put that in the liner notes.
Right. So in February 1952,
Yeah.
Arno Schultz walked into a nightmare. Returning from an out-of-town business trip, Arno found the body of his wife, Catherine Schultz, 38. She had been killed by multiple shotgun blasts in the family's upper floor flat at 2616 North Holton Street.
Ooh.
So,
What town is it?
Milwaukee.
Oh, in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So whenever they give an address like that, did you Google image search it, like Google street search it?
I thought you turned that off.
Oh, I did. I don't know what that is. SSL VPN connection is down. Oh, apparently my VPN was connected and just closed. Sorry.
Technical
You
difficulties.
probably didn't even hear that, Jenny, did you?
I did not.
Oh, good.
Actually,
okay.
I don't even know if our recording would pick that up.
Oh, okay.
I don't
So
think
just-
it would. So
just
you just ruined it.
I just did. Okay. So
Anyway,
so
I was
he goes
asking
in
if
and
you-
his wife is dead. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now.
Yes,
This is a bummer. Okay?
it is.
Yeah,
Without rape, though?
I don't think there's rape, but it's just a bummer. So, fair warning, right? Okay? Quit Googling what sport did 1952 Winter Olympics.
Can we just... It's going to bug me until I do this. I'm glad you're...
Well, I got my tissues, Amy. I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
I
Look
can't-
it up and be done with it.
Bobsleigh, ice hockey, skating. Skating covers figure skating and speed, and skiing.
All
And
right.
skiing covers alpine and Nordic. Okay, now I can listen because my
I
mind would be
know.
wandering.
You
so
have ADD
we're
that's
so
undiagnosed
are you saying
and unmedicated.
Are you saying Jenny and I could both cry during this?
No, you're just probably you just
This old woman's gonna get murdered.
no. She's already dead. She's laying on the floor.
She's not gonna come back to life.
Stay with the program.
All
Okay.
right, I'll shut up.
So he runs from the building to call the police
Yep.
without realizing that his son Robert, 11, and daughter Kathleen, 6, were also lying dead in the flat.
Oh, see, this is what I don't like about American timelines.
The boy had died as he crawled under his bed to escape the killer. Police found the
Oh.
little girl huddled in a closet in which she had attempted to hide.
No.
At almost the same time, and nearly 400 miles away, Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers pulled over a driver for speeding. Thinking the man was acting strangely, they decided to detain him and check into his story. That's when Arnold Schultz's nightmare took another turn. His 16-year-old son, John Schultz, was under arrest in Missouri. He had murdered his mother, then his brother, and finally had killed his sister. The cause? An argument over borrowing the family car.
Just let him have the car,
No.
and you wouldn't be murdered. In hindsight.
No.
But why do you have to go kill everybody?
No,
I
I'm
know.
not saying he's
Jesus.
right. I'm not saying he's right, but in hindsight, they have to wonder, oh, man,
No,
should have
that's
just...
not the good. That's not the parenting tip you're
Shoulda
supposed to
just-
get from this story.
Yeah, but you'd be alive.
Give in for everything, so they become tyrants.
Well, it's either that or you get murdered.
Okay,
All right, maybe I'm wrong on this one.
so
Let me hear the other side.
an anguished Arno Schultz told Milwaukee Sentinel reporter Robert J. Reardon,
Oh, Robert J.
"This
Reed.
has wiped out everything I've been fighting for: his mother, his brother, his darling little sister. But John is my flesh and blood." So, although he'd been in trouble, he had been expelled from school, had stolen money, and was once caught driving a stolen car. John Schultz seemed a normal adolescent.
Except for those things.
Yeah, I know. Right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes he stayed out late, and sometimes he slept in late. He also washed the car when asked, was happy to help paint and repair the flat, enjoyed hunting and fishing with his father, and worked part-time at Sperry Candy Company. He earned $44 every 2 weeks and gave his mother $22 from each paycheck. So that's
Yikes.
pretty nice.
$44 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow,
Man.
big money.
Big money back then.
So he was arrested hours after the murders, and he was a junior at Milwaukee's Riverside High School.
I'm waiting for either the brain injury or the thing
Yeah.
of him killing animals.
He described the events of that fateful day to the police. An article by reporter Henry T. Garvey in the February 12, 1952 Milwaukee Sentinel
All right.
included the boy's statement. "I got home at 1 a.m. Saturday morning after being out Friday night, and my mother and I got to arguing." Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Is this where I got
Schultz
strapped
told police,
in?
"I wanted to use the car to go to Riverside South basketball game at Pulaski High School, but Dad was gone to lacrosse, and my mother wouldn't let me have the car." Schultz had a pattern of returning home later than he should have, so his parents made a rule.
Yeah.
Getting in late meant spending the weekend at home. Mother and son argued about the basketball game on and off all Saturday. Hold on, let me get just a sip of water.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I have hot sauce on my hands or what, but I rubbed something in my eyes and now they're burning.
Great. You want me to dash this water glass?
Can you, like,
Shove
splash
it-
my face with that water?
Shove it in your eyes?
Can you spit in my eyes real quick?
I don't think so.
I don't know what's wrong with my eyes. Sorry. I
All right.
apologize. Okay. You took your
You're
drink-
tearing up over this horrible story.
Oh, I'm
you
just
go, right?
well, honestly, what I'm thinking about is how to avoid being murdered by my children for not letting them have the car later. Because
Right.
I know we're gonna
We're gonna
run
have that.
into this.
We are.
And I don't know which one's closer to murdering us. It's a even
it's
bet.
a
It's
good
50-50.
toss-up.
These
It's a
two.
good toss-up.
They are. There couldn't be more opposite, but they're both likely to kill us.
They're both on
Wouldn't
the
it be-
edge.
this
On
episode?
the edge.
This episode would be real creepy to listen to if they do end up murdering us.
Yeah,
like
wouldn't
going
it?
back and listening to this. Oh my God, they predicted it.
Oh yeah, and I'll be interviewed.
Yeah,
on
you
that
would.
fateful night.
You'll go on like Dr. Phil or something. Not Dr. Phil. What
I was
show
on that
would-
episode.
Dateline. I wanna be on
Dateline.
Dateline.
Yes, that's right.
I'm only taking that Dateline money for y'all's murders.
That's
yeah,
right.
that'd be some big money.
Ooh, I love it. So after supper, John went to the attic where his father's 410 gauge bolt action shotgun was kept.
Oh, 410 bolt action.
He fully loaded the gun with 3 shells in the clip and 1 in the chamber. He also shoved extra shells into his pocket. Before entering the kitchen where his mother was washing shirts in the sink, Schultz leaned the gun against the wall. "I called my mother by her first name, and she turned to face me. When I asked again for the car keys, she said they were in the house, but she wouldn't tell me where they were. I said, 'I'll find them myself,' got the gun and started shooting. The impact of the first shot knocked the
Wait a
woman
minute.
down.
She was even going to get, like, if he could find him, he was
No.
going to get the car, right?
No,
No.
she was hiding them from him, so he couldn't get it.
That sounded like she was open negotiation to me.
The impact of the first shot knocked the woman down, her head hitting the sink as she fell. She was moaning and struggling to get back on her feet when Schultz shot her again. Then Bobby yelled that he was going to tell the police on me and ran to the phone, Schultz said. He fired at the 11-year-old, striking him in the shoulder. Screaming, the boy fled to his bedroom, where a second shot knocked him to the floor.
Poor kid.
As Schultz paused to reload, the wounded child tried to drag himself under his bed. Schultz stood over him, aiming straight down, and shot him a third time.
Jeez.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, what a horror for this poor kid.
John Schultz told investigators that he was especially fond of his kid's sister, but she was screaming. He shot her twice. I had to shut her up, he explained to police. I went to the kitchen, he said. I heard a few gurgling sounds, so I leaned over my mother and fired point blank at her heart. Then I went back into the bedroom and shot each of the other kids once more. After that, there was no noise. It had taken 11 shots to kill his mother, brother, and sister. So John found
Yeah.
the car keys in a jewelry box and pocketed the contents of his mother's purse, which was about $75. Then he dragged her body into her bedroom and closed the door. Then he calls 2 friends and arranges to drive them to the high school basketball game.
So he goes to the game.
Yep. On the way, he stopped at a movie theater to attempt to set up a date with a cashier he had dated before. Then he was told
Oh, my God.
the young woman would be working late. So John and his friends continued on to the game, arriving shortly after 8
Imagine if you're this
p.m.
young woman, you're getting hit on by a guy who just murdered 3 people.
Yeah. A Milwaukee Journal reporter quoted John as saying, he enjoyed the game, but the screams of the crowd made me think of home, and I had a hard time keeping it out of my mind.
What?
So then,
Poor guy.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Poor
I'm
guy.
so
Couldn't
sorry.
enjoy
You
the
murdered
game.
everyone.
I feel terrible for the poor guy.
after the game, the 3 stopped for
He
a
should have
meal.
stood up and said, could you guys keep it down? You're reminding me of the screams of my family I just murdered.
Yeah, really.
Jeez.
So after the game,
I can't believe that's written in there.
yeah, the 3 stopped for a meal at the Pig and Whistle Drive-In on Capitol Drive in Shorewood.
They stopped at the damn Pig and Whistle, too?
and then
Come
spent some
on.
time at the Plankinton Arcade. After dropping his
The
friends
fucking
off.
arcade, draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
This kid is living his best life after that murder.
Yeah, right. After dropping his friends off, John returned home to the bodies of 3 members of his family. He shaved, bathed, dressed, and packed a suitcase. Returning to the car, he headed south and began a long, meandering journey through Illinois. Once he fell asleep at the wheel and drove off the road, damaging the car's bodywork. He got the car back on the highway and kept moving. During the journey, according to the Sentinel, an incident reminded him of his crime. For a while, I was forced to drive along behind a station wagon, he said. There were 3 children in the back seat, and they kept smiling and waving at me. After stopping for lunch Sunday outside of St. Louis, he resumed his westward journey and nudged his speed a little higher. The speeding car attracted the attention of 2 Missouri state troopers. After an 8-mile pursuit with speeds reaching 80 miles per hour, the troopers forced John Schultz to the side of the road. John told the troopers he was just out for a ride, but he was young, far from home, and driving a car with fresh body damage. The troopers took him to the barracks at Kirkwood, Missouri.
Kirkwood,
And
that's
called-
that's where you grew up.
Yep. And called Milwaukee Police Headquarters seeking information about the youth. They were told someone would check into it and get back to them. And then minutes later, the detectives called headquarters to report a triple murder on Holton Street and a missing person, John Schultz. So
Wow.
48 hours after the murder, he was handcuffed, returned to Milwaukee. There were hundreds of curious onlookers at the train station awaiting his arrival. His father was at police headquarters. He wanted to be present while his son was booked, and he would stand by his son throughout the trial.
Really?
My son is no
Oh, my
better than
God.
any other person who violates the law, but still you stick by your own flesh and blood, don't you? Arnold Schultz.
I guess if you
told
don't have
Milwaukee
any other
Sentinel
flesh and
reporter.
blood alive.
Yeah. So a few days later, a handcuffed John Schultz attended the visitation for his mother, brother, and sister at the funeral home. And that was on February 15th, 1952.
Oh. Oh, yeah, that's the day the Schlitz Playhouse of Stars was on.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The Sentinel article described the strange scene at the funeral home. Schultz glanced briefly into the open coffins of his mother and younger brother. His expression, the reporter wrote, was one of mild interest. He paused a bit longer at the little coffin containing the 6-year-old. It seemed that some emotion might reach the surface, but it never did. A moment later, John Schultz was in the sheriff's car smoking a cigarette. When the funeral started 3 hours later, Schultz was already back in his jail cell. His father, the newspaper carefully recorded, sobbed frequently during the services. So then on June 16th, 1952...
Oh, all the way in June. That's the same day as the debut of CBS's My Little Margie.
Okay.
About Father Vern and his grown daughter Margie
Mm-hmm.
can't resist meddling in each other's affairs. This is the pilot episode. Vern and Margie both try to use reverse psychology to bring the other around to approving of their respective paramours.
Oh, yes.
Starring...
And then she murdered them all.
No murder.
Right.
That starred Gail Storm, Charles Farrell, and Hillary Brooke. Do you know any of those people?
No.
I don't either.
Nope. He received a life sentence for the first-degree murder of his mother and 2 concurrent 14 to 25-year sentences for second-degree murders of his brother and sister. 2 days later, Sheriff Herman Kubiak and the county jailer drove John Schultz to the state prison at Wampum. On the way, they stopped at Graceland Cemetery on Milwaukee's northwest side, where Arno was waiting for them beside the graves of his wife and children. For a few minutes, father and son stood together looking down at the headstones. Then John, calm as ever, returned to the car to start his life sentence, his father, Arno, walking at his side. Arno Schultz, red-eyed and visibly shaken, wrote Sentinel reporter Dorothy Parnell, looked back once, back to where a white cross decorated with daisies and a yellow rose gleamed in the sunlight. And that's the story.
Womp in is what's going to happen to his ass in prison.
Yeah.
There had to be something wrong with that boy.
I know,
He must
right?
have killed a couple cats.
Yeah,
At least 2 or 3 cats
Yeah.
were dead
Yeah,
in
you
that
know
house.
he killed animals.
And had some kind of concussion.
there must have been.
at some point.
To be able to do that and keep on going with your day, like
I know.
in his mind, he was going to date that girl. Like, he was trying to get a date with her. Like
his life was going to continue. He wasn't acting like his life was over.
Don't you also think, knowing now what you know, not that you'd want to do this, but knowing our knowledge now, if you could time travel to 1952, you could easily murder somebody and get away with it. You just drive that car without crashing and going fast. Just go down to Mexico.
Yeah, they never would have found him.
They would have never found him. There's
Right.
like no cameras anywhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's true.
What a horrible
horrible story.
horrible thing. And again, I don't know how I ended up on a true crime podcast because I don't.
No care for
It's
it.
just like the Royals to me and the Olympics and true crime. They're all the same to me. I don't understand
You
why
don't
you
care
like
for
it.
it.
Is that thrilling to you guys?
All right, so everything we've covered so far on this podcast are things you don't like.
Yeah,
is what you're
right,
saying.
pretty much.
Yeah. Now, didn't I say, I like BB King. Okay, and now the very next day was Saturday, February 16th, and Jenny is going to continue the awfulness, I think, right, with a kind of a local story, right, Jenny?
Well, anything with the KKK is going to be awful, and that's what
Yes.
I'm going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
But I will say, I like the ending of my story a little bit better than Amy's.
Yes. Anything would be better. A root canal would be better than the ending of my story.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm hoping maybe the KKK was defeated and they never existed again.
Hey, spoiler alert! Stop.
Yeah? Okay, I'll stop.
I'll get into it.
Okay.
Nice.
So, Jenny, turn it over to you. And Jenny, kaboom time, everybody.
On February 16th, 1952, justice was served. Honestly, this case of justice being served is a little surprising, but I'll explain. Our main players are a courageous newspaper man in Whiteville, North Carolina, several unfortunate victims of flogging and beatings of both races,
Whoa.
good old boy South Carolina politics, and one of the most diabolical villains in American history, the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
Very nice.
K's and racism for days, y'all.
Yes.
And second to only the Nazis in terms of evil.
Yep.
Wow.
The KKK got started almost immediately after the Civil War by Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest. To the public, it was a social club for formal rebel soldiers who had just received a sound ass whooping from an unnecessary war. But in reality, it was a vigilante group of men desperate to get back in power.
Mm-hmm.
These white men claimed they were protecting vulnerable citizens, but were actually terrorizing black Americans and anyone who tried to object.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Their activity during Reconstruction got so bad that the United States Congress passed the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, which criminalized most of their activities.
Good.
But the Klan would reappear in American history in the early 20th century and again in the 50s and 60s. This second resurgence was in direct response to the blossoming civil rights movement, which of course led to better rights for many minority Americans, African Americans, Indian Americans, women. And in 1947, President Harry Truman's Committee on Civil Rights released a report entitled To Secure These Rights, which set a civil rights agenda for the next generation. Now, to us in 2021, the content seems like common sense, but it was extremely progressive for this time period. It stated that Black Americans still suffered many restrictions and could not really have the same rights as other citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Things like access to education, decent housing, and jobs. Now, the committee also recommended anti-lynching laws and strengthening the Department of Justice at the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I mentioned, our story takes us to the towns of Whiteville and Tabor City, both of which are in Columbus County and on the border between North and South Carolina.
Okay.
Now, the 1950 census reports Columbus County had a resident population of 50,000. Tabor City had a population of 2,000, and Whiteville had a population of 4,000. So this is a really rural county.
Rural.
Yeah.
Now, Jenny, you being from this area, are you familiar with those towns?
So, interesting connection. My husband's aunt actually lived in Whiteville for a long time and worked in the Natural History Museum there.
Okay, yeah. So you are familiar. And Amy, would you like to say what kind of towns these are?
No, I will not.
You don't want to say that they are rural? She has trouble saying rural.
Yeah, they're real rural.
She says
rural.
rural.
No, stop.
Sorry. I just love any time I can make fun of that.
Now, these towns are also about an hour from the coast and close to Myrtle Beach, which
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Yeah.
a lot
Dirty
of people
Myrtle.
know.
Dirty Myrtle.
Yep, Myrtle Beach is one of South Carolina's most famous beaches.
Home of Kelsey Bevensey.
All right.
Oh, yeah, our friend from Blumenthal.
Yep. She won't ever listen to this. So.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach does not have good history in this story.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-oh. Yeah.
sorry, Kelsey. So, all right, there was one man who dominated a lot of Carolina politics, especially in South Carolina during this time period. His name was Strom Thurmond. Yep. He was elected governor of South Carolina in the 40s, but had bigger ambitions. He tried to capitalize on racism resurging in popularity by creating the States' Rights Party, also known as the Dixiecrats.
What's
Doesn't
that sound like?
Sound familiar.
States' rights equals racism.
Yep.
Yep. And he did this so he could run for president. Now, in the election, he only carried 4 states. Y'all want to guess which state?
Oh,
he carried?
Mississippi,
South Carolina,
Alabama.
Uh-huh.
How many?
One
4
more.
of them?
Yep, one more.
Texas,
No.
Not quite, but
no.
close.
No.
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yep. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, needless
Sorry,
to
Texas.
say,
It's just like lump you in there. Yeah.
needless to say, good old Strom did not win. Harry Truman did. Now, side note here. Every South Carolinian whose family claims the state has a Strom Thurmond story. He's that ingrained
Really?
in South Carolina
okay.
history. Yeah.
So you have a Strom Thurmond story?
Yeah, I sure do. And
you
it's
gonna
a bad one.
Are you going to share it with us later?
No, I'm going to share it with you right now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so in his early career, Strom embodied everything bad about the South. These were his Dixiecrat days and states' rights party days. And like you said, states' rights, what does that mean? The right to hate other people.
That's right.
Yep. Same as the Civil War. But South Carolina kept re-electing this fool until he was basically a walking zombie
Yes.
in Congress.
Yes, he was.
He was.
God,
Yes,
he
he
looked like he was
served-
dead.
Yes, he served until his 90s, his late 90s.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
He was like
term limits, people.
It was like a
Term
Confederate
limits.
soldier sitting there going,
Yeah.
"Oh," and they made fun of that. That was, oh god, yes,
Yeah, so that's when I met him.
really.
Oh, my God.
He was 98 years old.
Oh my gosh.
He was
Yep.
still a senator.
Yes, he
Maybe
was.
98.
And Jenny
Yes.
met him.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I was 16 years old.
Okay.
I was a sweet young girl participating in a leadership program in DC.
Okay.
As a part of the program, we all got to meet our one of our state senators. So I got to meet Strom. We
gross.
were, and this is when it gets bad.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We were taking pictures, and this dusky old shell of a man asked me to sit on his lap.
No.
Yep, for
yeah.
the picture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So gross.
Man.
You know he was nasty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's verified and historically accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yuck.
Man.
Did you?
I still
Did
have,
you sit
I
on his
still have
lap?
a picture somewhere. No.
What did you?
Stop.
But no. I mean, what do you do if they like? What do you say? No,
I would
no,
say,
thank you?
fuck no.
No, thank you, sir. But
I don't remember what I said. I just remember feeling very, very uncomfortable.
I guess
now,
so.
in his
Especially being 16, you wouldn't know what to say.
in his defense, if he's 100, he might have thought you're like 8 or something.
Did he
Or
did he say it like
Even 8's
like
too old
he
to be
was
sitting on
trying
a
to be
lap.
flirty?
Yes.
Oh, he said it
Yeah.
grossly.
Yeah, it was kind of
Sexily?
like her will sit on my lap, young lady.
So he was
Now I wanna
joking,
puke.
but he was joking.
But he was
He was
joking.
saying it in
Like,
a
he was,
joking
like,
way.
flirting.
He wasn't really asking if you wanted to sit on his lap, or was he?
Yeah, you guys know anytime a man jokes and says, "Hey, you want to sit on my lap?" They are just
Yeah.
trying to shield themselves
Yes.
Yeah.
from
it's
any
gross.
claims of sexual abuse.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
matter if he was making a joke or not.
No,
That
no,
old
I
man
get it.
asked me to sit
Yeah,
on his
no,
lap.
yeah,
Right.
it's
No, I
gross.
get it. I get it. I just wondered in the context, was he?
But I'm just picturing like you and a bunch of kids. So maybe there's a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, but it's all high school kids.
Yeah, and
So
there were
it's
two of us.
obviously you're obviously you're an
my
adult.
God,
Yeah.
that's
So
so awful.
yeah, he's creepy as shit.
Gross.
Oh, so Jenny
Yeah.
had a creepy thing in an encounter
Creepy
with
Strom
Thurmond.
Thurmond story. Yep.
All right.
All right, but back to
Yes.
our story.
Back to this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our conflict centered on two men. Thomas Hamilton, Grand Dragon of the Association of the Carolina Clans,
Oh God.
and Horace Carter, Navy vet, UNC School of Journalism alum, and founder and editor of the Tabor City Weekly newspaper.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
All right. So in the summer of 1950, the police chief of Tabor City wrote a letter to Thomas Hamilton on police department stationery asking for a Klan parade. Like this guy just straight up
my
said,
God.
"Hey, you want to come parade in my city?"
Ah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the parade happens. It's led by Hamilton himself, and Horace Carter is there. So Carter's like, "Yeah, no,
Mhm.
Klan sucks."
oh, he's
I'm-
not. Oh, he's not a member of the Klan. He's
no,
okay.
they're adversaries.
Gotcha. I see.
Yep. So
Good
Carter,
for Horace Carter. Horace Carter's our hero.
yes, Horace Carter's our
All right.
hero.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I like
Yep.
that.
His name sounds bad. Horace Carter sounds.
It does.
Like a villain.
When you said Horace, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be bad.
Well,
I
and
know he's
Thomas
good.
Hamilton, that definitely sounds like a hero, but no.
Yeah, it sounds like a mix between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, but Jefferson is not a hero.
Right.
I mean-
neither really was Hamilton.
Well, I mean, let's not. This isn't a Jefferson and Hamilton podcast.
No, that's true.
But yeah, we'll go ahead. Sorry,
We
we'll
don't want to
shut
have
up.
too many hot takes about the presidents.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson did a lot of things that were great, but he also raped people
Right.
and had
And he had
slaves.
slaves,
He
yeah.
owned humans.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't know. Okay, sorry.
All right, so like I said, Horace Carter, newspaper alum, hero
Yes.
of our story.
Yeah.
He used his privilege as a white man and his influence as the city's newspaper editor to start a campaign against the KKK.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Really? In 1952?
1952.
Wow.
Well, actually, it was 2
50.
years his campaign
Yeah.
lasted.
Okay.
So, of course, the Klan hated that.
Yeah.
So they went all cowardly lion and started leaving threatening notes on Carter's car.
Ooh.
So, yeah, scary.
Mhm.
Big
Um,
notes on my car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this incident kind of started this this rivalry and fight between these two men.
Okay.
All right, so Carter's anti-KKK crusade lasted 2 years from 1950 to 1952. Now, he did try to be a proper journalist and offered both sides by publishing a letter from local citizen Thomas Hardy, who thought Carter was misrepresenting the Klan. Now, you guys got to listen to this. This is a fun quote. The Klan is, according to Hardy, just a good old red-blooded American organization.
Of course.
Organized to support the good morals of good American people.
All those good. How many times do they say good? That's
Good
so.
old-
It's
good
such
old.
It's
a,
projecting. It's
Yeah.
projecting.
it's such
Yeah.
a dog whistle too.
But doesn't that rhetoric sound familiar? I mean,
Yes.
you can definitely hear that
Totally.
today.
Exactly. Same
I could
old
hear-
red hat bullshit.
Well, and it's like the
Yeah.
real Americans and the good people.
True
They're always the white
patriots.
people.
Yeah.
it's such bullshit.
Ugh,
Yep.
So gross.
The good American people, as Hardy and the KKK defined them, were men that were lily white, of course, but they couldn't be Catholic, they couldn't be
Right.
Jewish,
Nope.
they couldn't be foreign,
Right.
and they couldn't really be smart either. Let's
There
be
you
honest.
go.
Right.
Boom. Burn.
Yep. All right, so now the FBI becomes involved in this situation because a growing KKK in the Carolinas actually attacked a black bar owner of a place in Myrtle Beach, and
Oh,
the place was
no.
called Charlie's Place.
Really?
Yeah. So there was this huge brawl at this black-owned business in Myrtle Beach that actually resulted in a lot of people starting to pay attention to what was going on in the
wow.
Carolinas, and
Yeah.
the surging
Kakalakos.
KKK.
Yep.
Yep. Dirty Myrtle name
Dirty
was
Myrtle. It's probably always been Dirty Myrtle.
yeah, it was still relevant back then too. Now, Carter and Hamilton start to exchange figurative blows in the public arena. The Klan held a rally, and Carter publishes a rebuttal in his newspaper. Hamilton and other KKK members are appalled that they are being accused of operating outside of the law, which they totally were.
Right.
The Klan can't do anything without Carter publishing a report in his newspaper. He
That's
reported
awesome.
on several attempted floggings, including one of an interracial pair of lovers.
Oh.
And they also went after their supporters as well.
Oh man.
Jeez.
Now, this Hamilton cat, he mailed out a postcard to thousands of Carolinians in the early 50s, and he specifically threatened newspaper editors, and he told Americans to wake up.
That's
To
awful.
what? I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Wake up, white people.
Wake up, white people. That's right.
That's what the GOP says too. I mean, the
pretty
Trump
much.
people say too. Is wake up, liberals.
Yep.
Liberal cheers.
Now here's something that I found really interesting about this story. In February of 1951, Hamilton goes to visit Horace Carter at his newspaper office.
Oh my
Really?
God.
Yeah. He wanted to ask him, but really bully him
Yeah.
into stopping his newspaper campaign against the Klan in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And old Mr. Carter, he just published an article in his newspaper talking about how Hamilton tried to come visit him.
Nice.
Good for
And
him.
good.
Yep. All right, so now the violence starts escalating in the area. The Klan kind of takes it upon themselves to give out justice. So they start flogging people, beating people left and right.
Just random people, like
No, it was people who committed immoral infractions,
Oh.
according to the Klan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's going to be drinking
Oh.
and not going to church
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and, sassing the white man,
Ugh.
talking back to your mama, stuff that is,
Yeah.
is not really
Right.
immoral.
Yeah.
But, the Klan thought that it was. So
Mhm.
they wanted to impress upon the people of this area that they were in charge.
Ugh.
Now, can you imagine living in Columbus County at this time? I mean, that's got to be freaking scary.
Oh, I know.
I mean, just living there in the 50s anyway, like any rural area.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably so racist.
Yeah, but being scared that somebody's just going
Oh,
to
but
drag
this-
you
yeah,
out of the
this-
house.
This is
Yeah.
way worse. Yes. I mean, this actually actively is, terrible.
Yeah, now, amidst all this terror, the white knights of our story appear. No, not the hooded ones.
Right.
But they're definitely not the white knights of every story, especially when you look at their leader of the time, J. Edgar Hoover. Even Leo can't save that guy.
Mm-mm.
The FBI rides in on their hypothetical horses
Yes.
and actually does something that is in the best interest of the people of the Carolinas. On February 16th, 1952,
Yes.
they arrested 10 of those dumbass KKK
Good.
motherfuckers for
Yes.
crossing state lines
Yay.
and whipping some people.
Nice.
Happy late Valentine's Day, you horrible rednecks.
No kidding.
Yep. All right, so Grand Dragon Hamilton is arrested for multiple crimes and eventually
Good.
goes to prison in Wilmington. But he gets released, moves to South Carolina, and becomes a Baptist minister.
Ah.
No surprise.
Horace Carter is hailed as a hero for refusing to back down from white hooded cowards who preached violence and subjugation. He is named Tabor City Man of the Year, and his newspaper is given a Pulitzer Prize for
Really?
journalism.
Well, that's good. So
Yeah.
people recognized him and didn't just. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a good ending to a story. These men were arrested and punished for what they did, which honestly I kind of thought was surprising that happened in 52.
I'm really surprised at all that they had any consequences.
Now, is that Hamilton guy, is he still alive, or do you know?
I am not sure. I'll have to Google.
Yeah,
Google
do
that.
the Googles.
So if he was that old in February of 52,
He's probably not still alive.
I can't imagine.
No, yeah, he wouldn't be.
Nope, he died in 1976.
There we go.
Oh, that means I could be him reincarnated because I was born in 1976. If that's how it works. I'm not really sure how it works.
Well, that was great.
Jenny,
Thank you.
that was fabulous.
Awesome. I love that.
I feel like Jenny. I honestly think I could give Jenny any
Topic.
story.
Yeah,
Like I could just find any story out of the world, and she could tell it
in a good way.
like that, interesting,
I
and
know.
like in a storytelling. We could learn a lot from her,
Yeah.
from Jenny. So Jenny, we're definitely having Jenny back.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought this story was really fascinating. I mean, not
Was.
only because I'm
Yeah.
from South Carolina, but because of the surprising outcome of
Yeah.
the story.
Well, and finding a good ending story in 1952 with racism
hard.
is hard, probably because everything is just so negative, and so I think that's what a lot of people complain is, like, oh, you talk about as the bad stuff, but when you talk about stuff like that, but that's a great one. That's a great example
Yes.
of there were allies then. You know,
There was progress.
Yeah, I always think just everybody was racist, and that's just the way it was. But no, there were he won Man of the Year, and then he had support in a rural area. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, and that was great. So it gives me a little hope and a little bit of happiness, even though it's a terrible KKK thing. Why is my email still popping up? Sorry.
It'll never leave you.
Let me just close it. Here we go. Sorry, I'm getting email notifications. All right.
But everybody should stand up and do something good.
That's right.
And fight the KKK.
Yes, you should really fight the
I love
KKK whenever you get the chance.
How much more do you have? Because
I've got a couple things. I'm going to speed through it. Famously, this is what I do when Amy's done and our guest is done, and I have a couple more things. I'll just say it real fast. February 18th was a Monday. It was the 4th Emmy Awards. And
The fourth?
The 4th. Only the 4th time the Emmy Awards happened. Hosted by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. It was the first year that nominations were considered on a national television network basis. Previously, the Emmys were only given out to shows produced in the Los Angeles area. But now it's everywhere. Red Skelton Show, Sid Caesar, and Imogene Coco win awards. February 20th, African Queen
that's a good movie.
was directed by John Huston, was released, starring Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. And I wasn't aware that Humphrey Bogart married Lauren Bacall,
Yes.
because I listened to her on Johnny Carson talk about being on set, but she didn't really say anything that interesting about this. But except that everybody was drunk except for her. She said Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn were hammered the whole time. And she said they're the only ones who didn't get sick while they were there.
Oh, wow.
Because they filmed it on location.
Yeah.
And at that time, they didn't do that very often.
Yeah.
So they said everybody got all kinds of illnesses except those two because they were drunk all the time. So the alcohol has killed everything, I guess.
Nice.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. February 20th, I have another awesome person I got to talk about. A glass ceiling shatterer. February 20th, Emmett Ashford is certified to be the first black umpire in organized baseball.
Hey.
But he has to wait until 1966 for his Major League Baseball debut.
Mm-hmm.
But I found this thing called Up, the Emmett Ashford story, and they're still trying to produce it and raise money on YouTube. So check it out. There's a little preview. It's called the Emmett Ashford story, Called Up. Look at it on YouTube and watch the little preview. You'll probably want to give money to it because it's really cool. So Emmett Ashford, just really quick, he was really into, African-American man, really into opera and theater. Every city he'd go to, he would check out the opera and stuff. So he was very theatrical.
Oh, wow.
When he called his outs and strikes and everything, he was like very theatrical. He was a postal worker for a long time, and he actually started as an umpire because he was asked to fill in for an umpire who didn't show up when he was playing a semi-pro baseball game. So he umpired on accident and did so good that eventually, that was in the mid-30s, later he took an absence from his post office job in Santa Ana, California, to moonlight as a softball and National Night Ball League of Southern California umpire. And so his colorful style included his personal trademark, ball foot, when a batter received a base on balls, instead of just calling it normally, ball foot, you must proceed to first base, he'd say. So that was his big thing. He had, everything was real theatrical, so they loved him. So everybody loved him. He was really cool, and then he eventually made it to the major leagues, the first African American. So that's an interesting story. Look up that guy. February 21st was the 9th Golden Globes. Mm-hmm. I had no idea Golden Globes were around longer than the Emmys.
They're older.
Honoring the best film for 1951. It was held at Ciro's nightclub located in West Hollywood, California. I have the address if you want it. A Place in the Sun with Frederick March won of Death of a Salesman. Jane Wyman won for The Blue Veil. The Place in the Sun won Best Picture, which we talked about because there was a murder based on that, right? We talked about that murder out in the boat. Anyway, I can't remember what episode we talked about. I was hoping you'd remember, but you're half asleep, so you're not going to remember that. February 26th, Winston Churchill announces Britain has its own atomic bomb, and that is the end of February 1952.
Woohoo! All right.
All I have. Nothing else happened.
Yep.
Jenny Kabool, thanks for
Thank
kicking
you so
ass
much for
as
coming.
always. That was very good.
It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and I want to make you do this again sometime because you present things cool. Actually,
Yes.
I'm just going to make you start your own podcast, and I'll help you produce it.
High fantasy.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yes.
High fantasy. But there's something about the way you present history stories that needs to be done. Maybe you can do a historical context of high fantasy, whatever. But,
Yes.
yeah, anyway, thanks, Jenny. Check out Nerdy Night. We have a history show coming up. You can check out the Nerdy Night In virtual series, The Ladies Who Rock, now on Vimeo or Facebook. You can just search those search terms and find them, and you can hear Jenny talk and other awesome kick-ass women.
Mm-hmm.
So check those out. The more views they get, the
more money we get to do shows.
Yeah, is that right? Is that how it goes? Yeah, the more popularity we get, I guess, the more people notice maybe. But yeah, check those out. Thanks for Jenny for being here. It's getting late. Amy's asleep.
I am not asleep. Quit saying that.
Your lipstick's all smeared.
It is?
Yeah. Why is your lipstick all
You know
smeared?
why? Because
You look like you're making out with somebody.
No, here's what the problem is. I'm so not used to wearing lipstick anymore because of the stupid mask. And I love lipstick.
So now you smear it all over your
But
face?
I'm so used to not having anything on my lips. Yeah, you touch your mouth more when you don't have lipstick on. And I don't.
Yeah, you used to be. I mean, you used to always wear lipstick every day,
Right.
even on the weekends.
And now I can't because I look like this.
You look, you look like you just got to make it out with somebody.
Well, maybe I did.
Maybe you did.
How about
Okay.
that?
Or
All
when
right.
you're really drunk, you have it like that. Okay, in our younger days when you're drunk all the time. And so was I. So was I.
Yeah. Hello.
All right. Thanks for listening.
All right.
Jenny, thanks for being here.
Jenny,
You got
thank you.
anything you got to say? Any shout outs, Jenny, to anybody?
Let's all just remember to let our kids drive the cars tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, let your kid, for God's sake, let your kids drive the car. Just let them have the car,
Right.
or you'll get murdered.
Yep. So.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Let
Get
Dale
outta here,
through.
Chuck Berry.
Goodbye.
Oh, come on.
Well, now Ashford and parking tickets, ripping paper, yeah, starting fires on top 40 Japan. What'd you think, man? Top 40 Japan, yeah. Would you expect my man? Top 40 Japan.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
I haven't worn pants all day. No, pants all day. No, pants all day. No, 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 pantsy, pantsy.